Okay, here we are. It's Monday morning, 8:30 a.m. Almost. Yeah, it is just a few seconds. Should we just pull that down a little bit? Yeah, 8:30, 25 seconds. It'll be 8:30 exactly. As you can see, that clock right there. That is tuned to the NIST standards, the National Institute of Science and Testing. we have to look that up. I keep forgetting. Let's do a little search if we can. My brother-in-law would be, God, not Nest, N-I-S-T. N-I-S-T. There it is. No, that was close. National Institute of Standards and Technology. There it is, NIST. Of course, it's a government agency. We've got a few of them hanging around out there. Yeah. So let's make sure that's not talking. Yeah. So, epidemic, you want to keep it down just a little bit? There we go. It's competing in my brain here. I can turn up my headphones down. I can turn them up. I can turn them down. I can turn my speaker up and down. Yeah, but these Robert Bob Heel, H-E. Where's my little... There it is. Hold on a second. Don't get off on no tangerine. There we go. Heel. It says heel sound. Heel sound. Yep. Heel. The Heel Company, and I don't know, I think Bob Heel is no longer with us. I think he passed away. Whatever that means. When you're no longer on the planet, you die. And then your body is something with your body. In time, we haven't figured out what to do with the body. The soul, goes up into the heavens. And the body, the Indians like to cremate their bodies. Some Indians are buried. The only, I don't know. The nice thing about being buried is that it could help with closure for the rest of the family. Because then they can go visit the gravesite and, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I was never a gravesite goer tour. Cremation is a way of just getting rid of the body. We don't need the body anymore. It's not working. It's dead, Fred. It's decomposing. Yeah, just cremate it up. Some people take the ashes and then they bury the ashes. So you have a smaller grave thingy, because you don't have this big body to deal with in a box. You don't have to worry about it burying it 8 feet down, because there's, let's see. There we go. Let's do that. That's a little better. It's March 10th. It's Monday, March 10th, 2025. Yep. 8:34 a.m. on the button. I was a little late to the microphone this morning because I had technical issues, and I actually don't know. I just started fiddle-faddling around, and everything started to work again. But I couldn't get my Epidemic Sound instrumental working. It's working now. Yeah, I push that button, and all of a sudden, whoop, there it is. Okay. So, I don't know. Must be Monday morning. So, we have this new administration that's getting its footing. The president is coming and going. He's signing things. Congress is, you have the government shutdown. They run out of funding soon, so they have to do a CR, a continuing resolution of some sort, to keep the doors open. Anyways, if it wasn't for the last minute, nothing would get done. A little desk sign, you're a smart aleck, up and coming, and people notice your desk signs. If you were in IBM, you had the desk and it said "Think," THINK, in all caps. Think. Y'all darn it, think before you do things. Get that brain working. Yeah. I tried like hell to get employed by IBM. They wouldn't have me. I never got a straight answer why. I guess I just wasn't, in their view, the sharpest knife in the drawer. I don't know. I didn't have, I was a biology major, double major, and a minor in math. Biology major, chemistry major. How weird is that, huh? So I knew how to think. You can't be. So what does a biology major mean? It means you can memorize things. Yeah, I used to just memorize the book. Just memorize the drawings, memorize the book. This is the nucleus. This is peri something or other. All these parts, body parts, cell parts, bones, muscles, ligaments, bone marrow, cryptogamic botany. You start looking at plant cell structures through a microscope. And you have, mushrooms and shrooms. Before someone decided to start eating them or smoking them or whatever, mushrooms. Ooh. Yeah, I wasn't into experimenting by either breathing stuff in or smoking them or, eating. I was afraid of putting stuff into my body that I didn't exactly know what was going to happen. So, and of course, just when I was getting to be 14, 15, 16, and some of my students that I was going to school with in high school, they experiment like crazy. Yeah, give it a shot, see what happens. I don't think so. How about it? I'll see you in the morning. Yeah, I wasn't one of those. You're supposed to study hard and all that stuff. So, look at this. Look what I found by accident. Oh, SpaceX's Starship. They call the ship Starship. I guess they didn't want to call it a starship because it actually doesn't make much sense at the time being, because we're shooting for a planet, not a star. You know, you can't go to another star because it gets a little hot as you get close to a star. There's so much radiation, you know, and I don't think this Starship, I don't know what kind of coatings that they had on the inside, outside, upside, downside, you know, insulating the occupants. It says it can hold, you know, like 100 people, you know, and rows of seating, I guess. You know, you'd think they would be sitting in theatrical mode, maybe with a screen up front, because you don't see a lot of windows. There you go. Look at that. That's the Starship. The simulation of it coming through the atmosphere. See the corona coming around the nose there? I'm making that up. So there's a Starship from beginning to end. I don't know, we see the 33 Raptor engines in the end of this thing. No, in the Starship you have you have 6 engines. You have 3 vacuum engines, and you got 3 STP engines, meaning they start at standard temperature and pressure. Sea level 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and a pressure of 14 pounds per square inch. There's 3, so you got 3 engines this way, 3 engines this way. In the end there, well, it looks like, you know, if you look carefully, they didn't really show the end of this thing, but it's some kind of a metallic thing. I don't know if it, that looks like a seam, which might, let's see if there's another, I mean, that's like ribbing and, you know, electrical cables going from one end to the other. And this little secret box right there, I think someone pushes a button on ground control that explodes the ship if it goes into, you know. It seems like in the almost, not exactly the same spot, and maybe for different reasons, but the last 2 test flights, you know, when it gets, you know, about 10 or 12 minutes into the flight, you know, a couple of the engines, you know, drop off, and then, of course, then it goes into a little bit of a, you know, this rotating motion, because you have, you know, asymmetrical power coming out of the back end of the ship. You know, you got 3 engines, and they all fire. They're all burning liquid oxygen and methane gas, supposedly, working through the vacuum engines. And I guess the engines that ignite, you know, at 14 pounds per square inch, they ignite, you know, they both apparently ignite, because once the ship separates from the booster, you got all 6 engines ignite. So you got 6 engines, you got 3 outer ones, and you got 3 inner ones. You got the 3 outer ones with the big bell, you know, parabolic flow directors, you know, because you got, when you ignite liquid oxygen, and which is coming into a gaseous state as it's being vented and pushed through, pumped through this engine firing chamber. You know, they say chamber pressures are nominal. Chamber pressures of like, 290 bar or 300 bar. So what's a bar? A bar is like 42 pounds per square inch. A bar is, 3 bar. 3 bars. A bar is 14.7 pounds. That's 1 bar. So if you multiply 3 bar, let's get the trusty calculator out. It's like 4,000 pounds per square inch. So when they say chamber pressures, 14.8 times. I think Elon said he was pushing those engines to 300 bar. There you go. 4,440 pounds per square inch. Now the chamber, I don't know whether it's like the chamber is, how big is it? The size of a basketball? Maybe that is. I haven't stood next to one, but the Raptor engine, Raptor, kind of like a dinosaur thing. The opposite of a dinosaur is a Raptor engine. And it's got a chamber, the size of a watermelon, the size of a basketball, size of my iPad here in diameter. And you got liquid oxygen coming in, and you got liquid methane coming in. And it's actually not liquid because it's coming through the pipes and it's warming up a bit. Instead of minus 250 degrees, it's it's coming through at I don't know what temperature, but it's ignited, and then it's then you got the rocket engine looks like a flamethrower, and it's throwing all this expanding gases out that way, which means it's pushing the inside, the top end, equal and opposite, Newton, all these little physical theories that are floating in and out of someone. So if you, it's like when you let go of a balloon, okay? Let go of a balloon. The air is coming out the nozzle of the balloon, and since you got all this flow going this way, the equal and opposite direction, the balloon goes that way. Well, same thing with a rocket engine. You've got, if you've got a chamber that's, the circular, let's just say it's circular, because that's the most stable shape, something that's a rectangular or a square box has edges, corners, so it's let's say a roundish chamber, and then you got the bell attached to the chamber, and all the burning, oxidation of the methane because of the LOX, the liquid oxygen. All these gases flow out at unbelievable pressure, 4,400 pounds per square inch. Well, if the chamber is, let's just say, 100 square inches, so you multiply 100 times that, times 100 equals, look at that, 440,000 pounds of thrust. I don't think it's that much. I think it's like 300,000. So, I'm shooting my mouth off here without knowing what I'm talking about. But isn't the thrust of those things like 280,000 pounds of thrust? So that's how, so if the inside of that chamber is 50 square inches, so I can divide this number by 2, divide by 2 equals 220,000 pounds of force on the top end of the chamber, and the burning 220,000 this goes this way, so equal and opposite directions. So there's only one way for the gas to get out, is to go this way. So that means you got 220,000 pounds of pressure going that way, and that's the push. Yeah, so the engines have to be, bolted, so to speak, welded, secured in such a way so that the engines just don't blast themselves through the top end of the ship. The engines have to be anchored, and there are 3 of them, so 3 times 2 is 6. So you got 600,000 pounds of thrust. So when those engines ignite, you better have your head placed on the headrest, so your head doesn't go on the headrest and you snap your neck. Yeah, so be ready, everybody, for blast off. We're going from first stage booster to second stage. 3 Raptor engines in the end of the Starship. They've decided to change the name to Ship because they're not shooting for a star, they're shooting for a planet, Mars. The theory is Mars. We're going to Mars. So, yeah. Oops, I just lost my calculator. I diddled with this plug over here and unplugged it, and I lost my video feed. I'm tricking this system here because this is a video camera. Hello, welcome to Monday. Yeah. Here we go. Look at that. iOS 19. That's coming out in September. There's one of Robin's friends who's got a green thingy around her neck. She got a green, greeny jacket of some kind. There's shamrock stuff I happen to have in my possession. Shamrock socks. Marilyn says there's another pair waiting for me somewhere. I want 2 pair of shamrock socks. I'm going to wear a pair of shamrock socks to Washington. We're flying to Washington, or actually Maryland. Maryland is flying to Maryland. Look at this. Ooh, long sleeve. Look at this. Let's see. This is shamrock. See, look at that. Yeah. What does this say? Dublin, Ireland. Established 988. Jeez, that's about how old I feel. when you're crowding 80, you feel like you were born in the year 988. No, let's try 1945, and this is 2025. So do the math. The big 80. Yes, sirree, Bob. Pleased to get there. I'm not there yet. I got 10 days to go. 10 days and counting. Then all of a sudden, at 9:36 a.m., little Jimmy popped out of Mommy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I remember seeing my birth certificate back in when I was born at Mary Immaculate Hospital, somewhere in the, Jamaica, Queens, the eastern side of the whole Manhattan thing. East side, west side story, all that. Yeah. Well, we were like the northeast side. sort of. In the J-Lo. J-Lo, the singer J-Lo. There you go. Brooklyn, Queens. Jimmy. Brooklyn, Queens, Jamaica. Jamaica Estates. East Hills. Moved out to Long Island. About 40 miles northeast of Manhattan. Along the North Shore of Long Island. Yep. And there was a body of water kind of like trapped around Long Island and coming around Manhattan and going up, around Connecticut. The Long Island Sound. Yeah. And then if you go on the south shore of Long Island, where Jones Beach, Gilgo Beach, Lido Beach, all those beaches. I was a beach guy, beach lifeguard. I was a pool. I decided to do the pool lifeguard thing. The waves were smaller. When you're lifeguarding, if you're lifeguarding. And Burt Rappaport is reported to have been a lifeguard at Jones Beach. I liked beach number 3. I think he was on the other side of the pavilion, like beach 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 beaches, and it was a state park. Jones Beach State Park, I think it was. So that was on the south side of the island. So from East Hills, you drive, I forget the names of the roads because it's a long time ago. And by the time I got my driver's license, I was at Union College with the great quest of knowledge, learning things, learning how to be an adult. Living a sheltered life as a little whippersnapper. It took till I was like a sophomore before there you go. You're an adult. Yeah. Learned how to, wash your own clothing and make your own bed and clean the sheets, Fred. Got a little routine. Yeah. The routine was, you went to classes and you read your assignments, wrote your assignments, did your research, whatever you were doing, whatever your topics of study was. I remember in my freshman year I had 2 A's, 2 B's, and 2 C's. So you don't have to be a mathlete to understand when you get 2 A's, 2 B's, and 2 C's in your academic stuff. You end up with a B average. So, a B average, I figured, all by yourself. You don't have mommy telling you to go do your homework. You kind of have to do it yourself. So, that was, you had gym class, you had a couple other classes, but 2 A's, 2 B's, 2 C's. Yeah. Then I decided to let's get serious about what's going on here, because that my first semester, sophomore year, I started. What am I going to do here? So I said, maybe I should start looking into a little bit of taking some biology classes. Maybe this medical thing has some merit to it, like being a doctor. We're not talking about ear, nose, and throat. We're talking serious biological studies. So there was a class called microbiology. Okay, so microbiology, that's all these little bugs that you see through a microscope. Yeah, microbiology. Yeah. So it was a 371 class. You know, you had the 100 series classes, you had the 200 series classes, you had the 300 series classes, and the 400 series classes for freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So they broke it down a little bit further because you had your 200 series classes, but anything under 250 was first semester sophomore. And a 251 class, in theory, would be a second semester sophomore class. So anyway, knowing that real basic nomenclature on the numbering of the classes in this little thing I'm talking about, it's 9 o'clock. My computer just rolled out. See, there you go, 9:06. Yeah. And there we go. We got 9 o'clock down there. So, knowing what I just said. So I was looking through the bookstore, and I'm looking at all these different textbooks. You know, I'm sitting on the floor, and I pull out this textbook, you know, and the bookstore wasn't, you know, like Barnes and Noble. It's a bookstore, you know, about 3 times the size of this, you know, so it's, 10, you know, it's 500 square feet, you know, not that big. 20 foot by 20 foot is 400 square feet. Yeah, 500 square feet. That's a good guess on the size of one of the campus bookstores. So I'm sitting cross-legged down on the floor, and I pick up this book and I look through it and I said, nah, I don't like that one. I pick out this book and I look at it and nah, I don't want to do that one. So I picked out this one, and I think the authors were Weber, White, and Manning. I might even have that textbook somewhere in my little books. I saved that one because it was my first. It was a breakout class, so to speak, because I had to get special permission from the chairman of the biology department at Union, because I was picking out, you know, when you go to register for classes, and I'm a freshman, right, or sophomore, and you stand in line to get a computer card to put in your little sleeve, because they had these tabletops, like folding Formica tables, and you know, the students of the, you know, the faculty members would have these little brochures about the class, you know, and you go around to all these stations, and it had all the different, you know, the freshman classes, the sophomore classes, the junior. You go around this big, and I think it was set up in the gymnasium, come to think of it. So it was a big room. So the student body that's getting ready to register for the classes, this is all very, you know, hands-on. Forget about doing it on some kind of a computer thing, because I don't remember students having computers back in my day, so to speak. No cell phones, no iPads. You had a book. Now you could go to the library, and there was some way of doing research, but you had to know the Dewey Decimal System. You know, because the library had to go through all these little cards, and you'd pick out that little card and say, yeah, well, that book is on shelf 27, and then you go find a book in the library. But in the bookstore, you know, they had them all. They had like, you know, 20 books of this, and 20 books of that, and 30 books of that, and you know, and the people that ran the bookstore, you know, would go in the back and restock the shelves because they're running out of, you know, the 301 biology class. Anyway, so I got my, you know, I was a bit of a pushy little kid, you know, so I said, you know, I like this one. Yeah, microbiology, I like that one. And if I go through and look at the table of contents, I don't see anything in the table of contents where any of the other biology classes could serve as a prerequisite. except if you didn't know which end of a microscope to look in. That's not real complicated. You look in the piece that's closest to your eyeball, and then you got this thing that goes down this way and it goes down that way onto a slide, right? That's it. Called not a telescope, dummy. It's a microscope. And then you turn the little dials here. Yeah. So that you take a little slice of a slice of cell in half and put it on the slide somewhere or other. Put a little thin piece of glass on top of that, and it mushes it down, and you have a little fluid in there, and it settles down. And then you put that slide underneath the objective lens of the microscope. Not telescope, it's microscope. Microscope. Yeah, so I look in there. Anyway, so I went through the table of contents of the textbook, which will probably be similar to the syllabus of the class that gets handed out at class, or maybe at the table in a brochure that you can pick up if you were to go by. It was a 371 class. That was the 3-digit code for microbiology. And Dr. Gilbert, Gilbert, he was a small man with gray hair. He was the head of the biology department for the entire place, the entire union thing. Undergraduate, the chairman. They call him the chair. Yeah, he sat in the chair, the head chair. Anyway, so I went along. I went to the table where all those brochures were. The 371 up in this string thing, 371 microbiology. The sign's hanging down about 7 feet from the floor. And I'm looking at it. I said, "Yep, microbiology 371. That's what I want." So I go over there. I grab the brochure, and then I'm ready to pull out the computer card. So here's these computer cards sitting at the desk. And you grab one of these cards and you just pull it out and you put it in your sleeve. And then when you're done picking out cards from all these Formica tabletops, and this microbiology was let's see, it had a laboratory because you had microscope work. So it was a 4-hour class as opposed to a 3-hour class. Well, 4 hours. So, let's see, how'd that work? So you would take, for freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. In your freshman year, they kept you, 14 hours, under 14 hours, 14 hours, something like that. But no, not Jimmy. Well, this is first semester sophomore. So I remember, I think I took 18 hours, which is one class more than the recommended 15 hours. So you go from 14 hours, 15 hours, 16, maybe 18 when you're a senior. So I was, I think my first semester sophomore year, I had 18 hours of classes. So how do you get to 18 hours? That's, 5 times 3 is 15. So 6 times 3 is 18. So you could have 6 classes at 3 hours apiece? No. Because 2 of my classes were laboratory classes. So they were 4-hour classes, and instead of 3 semester hours, there were 4 semester hours. Yeah. So 2 4-hour classes is 8 hours, right? And if you had 3 3-hour classes, that'd be 9. So 9 and 8 is 17. So maybe it was a 17-hour schedule. They say, no, Jimmy, that's one too many. No, I mean, in theory, they charged you, $100 a credit hour, whatever. So, and on the bottom of the card was, like a tuition number. So they'd add it all up and say, Mr. Wilson, you owe us in tuition. Ooh, you got to pay for these classes? Yeah, so then you go run up to see if you can get some student aid. Anyway, so I decided I was going to circle back on where I'm going with the story. Is I wanted to take microbiology as a first semester sophomore. But remember, those are class numbers 201 to 249, because that's what a first semester sophomore, all the class numbers, whether it's English, biology, chemistry, foreign language, whatever, it was all in the 200s, the first half of the 200s. So I'm in the high 300s. So, well, Mr. Wilson, are you a second semester junior? I said, no, I'm a first semester sophomore. Oh, well, you can't take a 371 class. I said, well, why not? Well, because you haven't been here long enough to do that. And I said, well, I don't see how that is anything. I looked at the table of contents of the textbook by Weber, White, and Manning. Is that the three authors of this microbiology class? Oh, yes, sir. Well, I don't see anything in there where I would need to have some prior biology prerequisite that would help me in my studies of microbiology. It's like a separate, unique island all in itself. I said, well, one of the junior faculty people said, well, that sounds about right. But you're going to have to go to Dr. Gilbert. You see, at the head table over there, because you had all these Formica folding tables. And it was like these booths all the way around this big U-shaped thing. All the students are milling around in the middle of the U-shape, and all the faculty and the faculty aides, oh my God, I wonder how I can become one of those. And Dr. Gilbert was at the head, and then I winged around here over this side of the corner of the U. Yeah, you'll have to see Dr. Gilbert and have a conference with him, because unless he initials this curriculum card, you're not going to be able to take this class. I said, ooh, I got to have a chat with him first. He said, yeah. I said, well, let me just have this card. I'm going to go down there and have a chat and see if he'll initial it for me. So there was not a lot going on. He was, he had a lot of help because he's the head of the entire biology department for the university thing there. So I went over there, and he's sitting in a chair, and I'm standing up at the other side of the Formica tabletop. And I said, Dr. Gilbert, my name is Jim Wilson, and I would really like to take your microbiology class. I understand you're actually teaching it, and it's a 371 class, and they say, since I'm a first semester sophomore, I can't take it. I can't take it until my second half of my junior year. He says, well, actually, that's quite correct, Mr. Wilson, because, you have to wait a year and a half before you can take this class. I said, well, I looked at the table of contents of the microbiology textbook by Weber, White, and Manning. Is that the textbook? He says, Mr. Wilson, that's quite correct. I said, I don't see anything in the table of contents as I compare it to all the other curriculums of all the other biology classes. I don't see where any of the other biology classes, other than how to use a microscope, which I know how to do, would help me in microbiology. Because, all the cell structures and all that, there's no other prerequisite biology class that really helps that, other than just taking general biology and, anatomy, bones and muscles. That doesn't have much to do with microbiology. He said, well, that's actually correct. There isn't any other classes that would help, prepare you for microbiology. It's a separate, unique class. I said, that's why I want to take it. Because I think that would be quite interesting. Okay. I guess we could let you in the class. We have room. I said, could you just initial this card right here? Because I already picked the card from the packet. I have it in my packet. And they say, you have to initial it or else I can't register over there in the registration table unless your initials are on here, anywhere on here. Because they want to know that I had a chat with you. And so he initialed it. He said, okay, there's one condition. I said, okay, what would that be? He said, we have 4 tests during this single semester class. We have quarterly tests, and then we have, the half-year class test. And then you have the next quarter test, and then the final exams. We have 4 big scores. Your first, the test we have after the first 6 weeks, which would consummate the first quarter, the first 25% of the studies of this class, which is the first, 150 pages of this, 500-page textbook. We'll go through all those chapters, chapter 1 through 11 or whatever it is. You must, get a score of 75 or better. If you don't get a score of 75 or better, you will be expelled from the class, and you will sacrifice the $300 or the $280 in tuition. Are you willing to accept that risk? I said, So I needed 75 or better. So I better study for that one, right? What do you think? Yes, sir. You better study for that one, or else they're going to throw your butt out of there. Oh, yeah, we're going to rip you out by the back of your neck and throw you out the door. And there's only 19 other students that are in this class. We accept up to 24 students. You're actually number 20. And, we're almost at the end of this registration day. So it doesn't seem like we're going to get any more in this class. So you'll have a nice class of 20. You'll be one of the 20. And we'll see you next Thursday. I said, okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Gilbert. It's totally nice meeting with you. Thank you for making that reasonable condition upon my continuation of the class. Yeah. So I got in the class. I met Dr. Gilbert. Nice man from the Midwest somewhere, it sounded like. And so anyway, I show up Thursday to go to this class. And the classroom itself, because I didn't know what that looked like, so I actually snuck in the classroom building, the biology building, whatever it was, and go upstairs, and it's the last classroom on the right side of the hallway. And I walk in there, and oh crap, you don't have regular, chairs and tables, like with the the arm on the right side, and you lift up, and you have your own unique tabletop and seat that's like screwed together. No, you had this big slate with Bunsen burner thingies, and you sit up on stools. And I saw a couple of pictures on the bulletin board, and you had these upperclassmen, the 19 and 20-year-olds. I'm like 17 and a half, so I'm like, when you go 17 and a half from 20, that's a couple of years, 2.5 years older or something like that, 2 years older. So the upperclassmen look down on you because you're bigger and you're smarter, supposedly. So they all had white jackets, white coats, like you'd see if you went to the doctor's office and your doctor walks in and he has a white smock on with his name on there, Dr. Gilbert, chairman of the biology department. So they all got smocks on. I walk in there with a golf shirt. A striped golf shirt, green and blue. Oh God, what? Green and blue? Oh crap! No, I didn't walk in there like that. I had a white shirt and a tie on. I had what would be considered today as golf pants, dark blue golf pants, nice shoes. The one. I've been teaching at FAU for like 20 years or so. And the difference between when I went to school and the students that go to school now? You got the building here, you got building 54, you got building 32, you got all these different school buildings, classroom buildings, you got laboratory buildings, you got big auditoriums, you got a gymnasium, you got a football stadium, it's all the same stuff. You know the difference is? The students go to school today and they look like slobs. They wear, they got shorts, they got flip-flops, they got, oh, God. I'd throw them all out. You got a dress code. Now, you don't have to wear white shirts and skinny ties and tight black pants. No. But you need to go with a reasonable top, you don't have to have a tie on, but, button your shirt up all the way, and, look like you take this student thing seriously. Don't go in there with a golf shirt, these big baggy shorts, whatever they call them, with the pockets going down the leg of the shorts, come on. Wear long pants. Wear shoes with socks. Don't wear sneakers with no socks. Anyway, and similar, dressing for the ladies. Not the skin tight things showing every little ripple of skin that you got going for you. Anyway. Don't go to class in something that looks like a bathing suit, for Pete's sake. Jeez. Anyway, that's the difference between the students today and the students when I went to school. People actually, dressed up just a little bit. Not coat and dye, just, a nice sports shirt, if you will. Maybe a cardigan sweater. Maybe a sweatshirt, with the white collar coming out the top of it. A little preppy. Not today. They look like a bunch of trash balls walking around. I see them walking around, and I don't like the way it looks. But, I'm teaching my class. I'm on the third floor of the building 54, or building 55. Classroom building. Big key. Principles of digital photography. Anyway, so I got into the 371 class. I paid attention to that class. I'll tell you what. They say Dr. Gilbert. He's like 5'1" tall. He's a real short little dude. Smart little cookie. PhD. in some kind of biology. A doctorate degree. That's like, oh my God. I'm a first semester sophomore and he's got a doctorate degree. That means he already had a master's degree. And then he had a doctoral thesis that he had to deliver to all the department heads of the biology department or whatever, wherever he did his graduate work. It was all very, stilted. As a kid that got out of Roslyn High School and ran off to Union. Anyway, so, yeah. They're searching for an attractive student in the Dominican Republic, somewhere down there in Pogoland. And this girl has gone missing, and the Virginia Attorney General's office is looking into it. The FBI is looking into it. The State Department says stay away from the Dominican Republic, and this girl's missing for 3 days. Can you imagine her parents? Oh my God. 20 years old, 5'3", stunning looking young lady. She is, last name Konakai. Sudiksha Konakai. I don't know if I have that pronounced right, but phew. They're showing pictures on my delayed broadcast of one of the networks. Just, Phew. Terrible. Someone's got her. Hopefully they find her alive. Someone snatched her out of wherever she traveled with and whatever. And the search for a missing student brings back bad memories of some other young ladies that were snatched. USA young ladies that go down there walking around innocent and stupid, But, you can get bullied and snatched, it's just like, boom. It's like bad luck. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time, boom, you're gone. Your parents, you raise a kid up to 20, they're on spring break, boom, they're gone. Wow. Talk about, they call it the curse of the gods when your offspring predecease you. That's a fancy word for saying they die before you die. The parents are supposed to die first. And then in order. Everybody lives to 100, right? Everyone takes their turn. Anyway, so I'm in the 371 class. I'm studying like crazy. I don't have the white smock. I don't deserve a white smock. Apparently, when you enter your junior year in the biological sciences, we had laboratory coats in the chemistry department. Well, they had them in the biology too. So if you're dissecting a frog and it squirts on you, it gets on your smock instead of on your undergarment, your shirt or whatever you're got underneath the smock. Today they come to class, you have smock, you wear nothing under the smock. In my day, a long time ago, you had a shirt and a tie underneath that smock, which buttons up to here, and then you can see your shirt collar and your tie pulled up on your neck. Not with the open collar and a tie, looking like you had to jog to work, and you had to open up the shirt, to let the fumes come out because you're perspiring. Yeah. Anyway, I'm in the 371 class. I'm studying, I'm paying attention, I'm reading my lessons, I'm writing the exercises or whatever the thing. I'm looking through the microscope, I'm drawing the pictures of what I see. I'm labeling the parts, so they put you through the drill when you're learning stuff, And then it's test time. Oh, God. So Dr. Gilbert, so he's got this stack of tests in the front of on the corner of his desk, or one of the laboratory assistants brings in, about, a 20-pound package of tests, stapled together, legal-sized paper. Eesh. And they're all mimeograph, the mimeograph where you have like this alcohol fluid that goes over and the mimeograph goes around and around and around, and it makes copies. They didn't have, Xerox didn't come up with the copy machine yet, I don't think. When I went to school, they had mimeograph. Yeah, mimeograph. So instead of black characters on white paper, it was kind of like dark purple characters on white paper. And if you hold the paper up to your nose, it smelled like, like rubbing alcohol or something. I don't know. There was some kind of transfer chemistry. I don't know. I forget what it was. It wasn't acetone. It wasn't that strong. It was, more like some kind of, methane, ethane, propane, butane. It wasn't gasoline. It was flammable. It was definitely a flammable fluid. Let's just say it was some form of alcohol, like maybe isopropyl alcohol. How about that? That sounds like a nice word. Anyway, you'd fill that up in the tank on the top, and then you had this mimeograph paper that you typed your, you typed the test on, and then you clip the paper on this big rotating cylinder. You clip it onto this and hold it tight so it's wrapped around the cylinder. And then, you manually rotate the cylinder with some kind of a crank thing to just run one test paper by. And, so this isopropyl alcohol would get fed into, it was either fed into or sprayed, into the back of the mimeograph paper. And then it would roll onto a fresh sheet of paper, and some of the ink from the mimeograph paper would then come off onto the white legal paper. Anyway, so you had a stack of, it was a 14 legal page test from Dr. Gilbert. I said, "Are you kidding me? What the heck is this?" So, students, would you come up and pick up your test packet from the front of the desk here? And here's the rules of the test. So he'd go off and read off what we'd have to do. And of course, I was sitting in the very back on the back right side of the classroom, his left, my right. I'm sitting in the back corner there. You had 4 rows of 5 students. And, 2 students for each 6-foot laboratory table. So you had 2 seats, 6-foot laboratory table. You sit on that side of the table on one end, and the other student sits on the other side. So, you got 5 rows of 4, or 4 rows of 5, or whatever. Yeah. Probably 5 rows of 4. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah. Anyway. 20 students, 10 tables. That's it. It's just 20. So there were 4 empty seats, essentially, because you could sit 24 in there, and there was only 20. I was the 20th. So Dr. Gilbert he's standing up, and we're all sitting down, and he could barely look over the tops of our heads because he was a little fellow. A smart little fellow, apparently. PhD. So he looks all the way over to me because I'm in the back corner, And he just does this eye contact thing. I figured, oh crap, he's watching me. We got 3 hours. It's a 3-hour class and a 1-hour laboratory. That's how they come up with the 4 hours, semester hours. 60 hours of instruction. That's how it works out. Because it's like 15 classroom hours equals a semester point. So a 3-hour semester class is 45 hours of instruction. And a 4-hour semester class was 60 hours of instruction or laboratory work. Yeah. Anyway, so this is a 4-hour class at a laboratory. A microscope laboratory thing. Anyway, so 371. So he hands out we have to go up and get the test packets, and it's 12 or 14 legal pages stapled together, legal size mimeograph. You smell it, and it's got this alcohol smell coming out of it because it was mimeographed earlier in the day. I think the class is like, it wasn't the first class of the day, it was like my second. So it was like 10:30 in the morning, 10:30 to 12:30, 10:30 to 1:30, something like that. 3-hour class, 3-hour classroom class, and 1 hour of laboratory work, at least once a week. So now 6 weeks is up. Now I'm taking this test. So the first couple pages were, multiple choice, A, B, C, D, E, which is the best answer. I hate that. Which is the answer? Don't give me the best stuff. That means you had 2 answers that were close. One was closer than the other to reality. Yeah, that's a rather subjective thing. So anyway, it was a fair test. I could see the difference, so I learned how to take a test. So what you do is you go through A, B, C, D, E, and you cross out a couple of them that couldn't be the answer. Oh, no, it couldn't be that one, and it couldn't be that one. So you cross out A and E. So then you got B and C, the only possible answers, because, the other 2 or 3 could not be the answer, because at least you knew that much. So now you have the 2 answers that are close. So now you have to figure out which one's the best answer. Yeah, that's how you do those test questions. I hate them, because it could be either that one or that one. And you really have to know your stuff to be able to differentiate which answer is the best answer. Anyway, so they had a multiple choice. Then you had, the sentence, and you had a blank and the rest of the sentence, and you had to fill in the blank. So they had like a statement, which they stripped out some statement out of the textbook, and you're supposed to know which is the best word that would go in there. Here's that 4-letter thing again, best. So if you read your stuff, it should become eminently obvious what would fill in there. And so then, let's see. So you had fill in the blank, you had multiple choice, and then you had essay questions, which I guess there were 3 big components of this. And there were like 6. There were 3 big. Remember, it's legal size, and you had, the top third, the middle third, and the bottom third. And they'd make some kind of a statement up on the top here, and then you had this much, which you could hand write. Remember, we're just pen and ink. There's no laptops in this society I grew up in. No cell phones, no laptops. No, only landlines and pen and paper. They had, typewriters, not Selectric typewriters, the old-fashioned kind with the ribbon and the key that would, you push the thing and the key would go like this and whack the paper. Yeah, that's the typewriters. So, but you didn't have that in class, in biology class. You had to write out, your answers. And left-handed, my handwriting, I could have definitely qualified to be a doctor based on handwriting skills, which were basically terrible. Anyway, so you have to write it out because, some laboratory student aide is, grading these papers. I think Dr. Gilbert graded the essay questions himself. The other two parts of the test, his laboratory aides did because, it's multiple choice. You got A, C, Q, you go, it's easy for the student aides to figure out whether you circled A or not. So if you had the right multiple choice, so it was pretty easy to figure out if you had the correct multiple choice. Anyway, so I went through the whole test. It's 9 or 10 legal pages long, stapled package. The first test, I have to pass, or Dr. Gilbert would say, I'm sorry, Mr. Wilson, but since you did not achieve the right score here, we agreed that you would step out of the class because you were not competent to continue. Leash. That, I didn't want that to happen, so, I studied like crazy for that test. Because I studied for, I studied for everything. I tell you, I was one of these guys that went to school and kind of like, I worked my butt off and paid my way through. And I told my mother, I said, look, if I need financial help, I promise I will call. But I'm going to try this, I'm going to try to do this on my own. Let's see how that works. So she thought that was rather noble. And I said, she said, okay, Bill, give Jimmy your car keys. So since I decided I'm going to pay my way, they're going to give me a car. So I drove off with my dad's car. He was really not happy with that idea, but that's what happened. Anyway, so I drove back to school in my first semester, sophomore year, had my own car. Then I had to figure out where to park it and had to take care of the car and had to make enough money to put gasoline in it and all that. Anyway, so I took the test, and Dr. Gilbert has this. So now he's graded the tests, and he's handing out the test packages that have grades on them. And of course, he put A, B, C, D, and maybe there'd be a plus sign or a minus sign, and then he'd circle it, and then, he'd have this package of papers in his arm, and he would look at the student, he'd look at the paper, he'd look at the student, and then he would, take the test package, and he'd go like this, and then he would hand it to the student, closed, so the student would have to then do this and open it and see the grade, and either pass out or cheer or something. Anyway, so he sees the name, and he looks up and down, and he looks down, he looks up, and hands it to the student, and then he walks all the way over on this side of the classroom, and he looks at this lady. She goes up and down, and hands her his, and he's going around, and I can't figure out what the sequence is that he's handing out these papers. It doesn't seem to be alphabetical because, Mr. Ziegler just got his test package returned. And then Miss Abraham, she got hers right next to that, so it doesn't seem to be alphabetic. There's only 20, so, it's 18, 17, 16. So figuring out, is it test scores high to low? Where the last one he hands out is the lowest score in the class. Oh my God, please don't let that be me. And then, is it high to low? I don't know. It's that. So he's walking all around handing out these papers, but it's sporadic and different. He's walking all over the classroom handing out these papers. And it doesn't seem to be, and I can't figure out what the sequence is. So then now it's the last paper. And where is he in the classroom? He is in the very back of the classroom, all the way, on the left side, way in the corner there where Jimmy is sitting. And he looks at there's only one stapled pack left, and he's looking at it, and then he looks down at me, and then he looks up at the package, he looks down at me, he folds the thing in half, he hands it to me. Look at this thing, holy crap, I'm afraid to look. I open it up, oh, I got an A on the test, oh my God. A 97 or a 98 or something was the highest score in the class. And he turns around to the rest of the class because he's in the very back corner looking at me. He says, "I'm happy to say that Mr. Wilson here has received the top score in the class." And then he has all the students' names, last name, first name, and, in front of that is your score. 98 Wilson James, and then double space. Then you have the next name of the student with this, and then it all goes down to the very person that got on the bottom score, whatever that was. And with a thumbtack, they stick it on the outside of the door, so that when the classroom door is shut, you've got all these test scores out there for everyone to see. And of course, everyone snoops around to see what everyone's getting. So I became instantly, undeservingly, like a brainiac kind of, like, oh my God, who's this Wilson kid? He got a 98 on, 371 microbiology class. Who the hell is he? They had no idea. So I slithered out of that classroom. I didn't want any notoriety. I just wanted to get lost. Yeah, so that's my 371 biology class story. Yeah. So the nice part of that story, other than the fact that I got a good grade in that class my first semester, sophomore year, is it gave me a little tinge of confidence, saying, you know what, I can do this. And not only can I do this, but I have to do it well now, because there's a level of expectation. Everyone is going to assume that I'm going to do well in all the rest of my classes. So I better damn do well. I mean, it was like a self-imposed, Energizer Bunny kind of thing. So I started getting a lot of good grades in a lot of classes, except for my second year German. When you're a chemistry student, I should have realized, you got to learn some German, because some of the older textbooks and journals and research papers, were written in German. So, was willst du haben? Oh, God. I couldn't figure out that language for the life of me, Spanish was tough enough. German, oh, forget it. Oh, my God. I mean, that was like a foreign language. Well, it was a foreign language. Yeah, no, it was, the teacher was really nice. He's definitely German, and, he could barely see, so he was always squinting, and, he's a very nice gentleman, in his mid to late 60s, and I'm like 20 maybe, soaking wet. I barely got through the German. I did all the extra stuff, so, they'd see me around, German Day or whatever, I went to everything you could possibly go to try to, show up with some German students, German, students that are taking German. I don't mean German nationalized people. Anyway, so it's still, the guy, he knew who I was, and he knew I was not doing well and struggling, let's put it that way. So then, and when you take a German class, you have a German laboratory. I said, well, what the hell is that? So you would go in to this little booth, and you put headphones on, you had a microphone, and you had to read and comprehend, you had to read a passage, like a paragraph, out loud into the microphone. And it would record it on this little cassette tape thing. I forget the mechanics of that, but I'm just going to say it was like a little mini cassette. And you'd read a paragraph, and then you'd answer the paragraph, and then you'd read another paragraph, and you'd have to do your German laboratory, which is not like a laboratory in a science class. It's really strange, but that's what they had. They had a language laboratory, and you'd go in there and you'd pick out what your assignment was. Anyway, so one day, a little bit of a success story is my sophomore year I did very well. I was on the dean's list. So I was on the bottom of the dean's list, but I was on the dean's list. Yes, I was not on the very bottom. I was like a couple up from the bottom. You had the people on the top, which was not Jimmy, but I actually got on the dean's list. I thought that was quite an accomplishment, because I was taking all kinds of advanced classes, except for German. That was I just skated through with the minimal on that, because that was tough for me. Anyway, so you take the language laboratory and you're talking on a microphone. So I figured it's on a cassette tape. So there's another guy, on the other side of the micro, because I'd record onto this cassette tape and I'd put it in an envelope. I'd write whatever I have to write on the outside of the envelope. And then you put it in a slot and it goes in the bin. And then, you have these language students. Oh, God. The thought of that, when you had to major in a language, oh, God, please. I just took the 4 classes of German, that's all I could stand. But you had to take, 4. Jeez, God. Anyway, so I'm on so when you're on the dean's list, you get to go to the president's house and, cocktail party, but, you're sipping, apple juice. They didn't like you drinking, it's too young to drink. I don't know. I think I had apple juice, in a wine glass. So you're walking around, trying to pretend you belong there, and walking around and you're socializing, so to speak. And this Asian-looking guy comes up to me and he says, "Are you James Wilson?" I said, "Yes, I am. How are you?" So his name was, Fred whatever. And I said, "So Fred, what brings you up to say hi to me?" He said, "I thought you were Japanese." I said, "Really? How does James Wilson become Japanese?" He said, "Because I'm a language student, and I listened to all your language tapes, and you speak German with a Japanese accent." Can you imagine? Here I'm, WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant from the North Shore. I'm from Brooklyn, for Pete's sake. And he thinks I speak German with a Japanese accent. He said, "Yeah, I try to figure out, where people are from, and you just sounded like a Japanese person attempting to speak German, when you would record your passages." I said, "No, this is Jimmy." Yeah. No. Brooklyn, New York. Here you go. Jamaica Estates. That was. I'm just like coming up with so many stupid stories at 9:54 a.m. here in sunny. Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, sunny Boca Raton. It's 85 degrees outside on the 8th floor of right above Chops in downtown Boca Raton. If you would, downtown in a place like Boca Raton is like Zero Street with Zero Avenue, Palmetto Park Road would be considered zero, zero going east and west. And Federal Highway would be considered the x-axis on your grid. So the y-axis would be Palmetto Park Road, and the x-axis would be Federal Highway. Well, we live in the south, the southwest quadrant of the intersection of Palmetto Park Road, and because we're 101 Plaza Real South, so we're on the south quadrant, southeast. I'm sorry, the southeast quadrant of the intersection of Palmetto Park Road and Federal Highway. About 1 block. Let's say 2 blocks south and 1 block east. Yep. So we're real close to the very center of the intersection. We're just slightly off center, to the exact center of, the city of Boca Raton. Yeah. And you got Meisner Park. That's an important, development in very close to the city center of Boca Raton. Now, they'd be on the northeast quadrant. We're on the southeast quadrant. So if I want to go to Meisner Park from here, I just walk north about 4 blocks, and we'd be right in the middle of Meisner Park. Nice. Max's Grill was our favorite place to go, which is right in the middle of Meisner Park, on the, on the east side of Meisner Park. Meisner Park was like it's like a piece of property shaped like this phone. And Max's Grill is right there. There's a big road up and down the middle. So you'd walk right up in here and make a right turn, and you'd end up in the front door of Max's Grill. It's been there since the whole project opened, in the early 90s. That's early 90s, and this is 2025. Woo! That's 34 years ago. Wow. Jeez. Max's Grill is still there. They got the sign out front. It's gone through, it had like 5 partners, and then one of the partners was fooling around, a fellow. So you had a husband and wife team, Max, actually. So you had Max and his wife, Deborah or something. I forget what her name was. So he ended up fooling around with some young lady. And so he got himself in a little trouble on the home front. And they, I think, got divorced and they settled. And Dennis Max had to give up his 20% ownership, and he had to give it to his wife. So then she owned 40%, and 3 other people owned 20% pieces. So some of the ownership of the Max's Grill, moved around to different parties rather than someone buy the whole thing. there were partners came and went, so to speak. But I remember, 8 years, somewhere in the first trimester of Max's Grill, I think Dennis Max had to give up his interest to his wife, so he could save his scalp. Now, he owned several restaurants, so he'd own one, she'd own that one, so he's a restaurateur, Dennis Max. One of the other partners in Max's Grill was Bert Rappaport. And he was probably one of the 20% owners that stayed in it the longest. He may still own a hunk of it today, for all I know. I actually don't know. But I know at one point he owned one of the 20% pieces. I don't remember there being a 10% owner. So I don't know if anyone split the baby. Let me have a little sip of coffee here. I have my coffee. That's it's 10 a.m. now instead of 8 when I made the coffee. I have my trusty little thermometer. Look at that digital thermometer. Yes, it's my little. Yeah, it's an infrared sensor in here, and it's calibrated to read temperature in Fahrenheit or centigrade. Look at that, 121 degrees. 121.6. Let's circle around that. Yep, 119, 120. That's still, that's I would say it's lukewarm. When you get coffee steaming out of the cup and you sip it and so forth. So if you finally get comfortable with the temperature that's hot, you don't want to drink it down because it's too hot for that. But you could take a nice sip and it's nice and hot. That would be, I've tested what's hot and what's too hot and what's not hot enough. About 145 degrees is, for my palate, is hot coffee or hot tea. About 140, or hot soup, So if it's hot, I've done that. I mean, I've tasted the soup and I say, yeah, that's a little hot, so it might be 148. And if you have it in like 137, that's not hot enough. Got to put it back in the microwave for another, 20 or 30 seconds to get that up to mid 140s for my palate. Now, if you're taking a shower, I've also done my trusty little thermometer here. If you're taking a shower, I actually had a thermometer, that has a long stainless steel tube, and then it's sealed onto the back of an actual thermometer. Well, I actually taped a thermometer like that, not because you couldn't do one of these digital ones here because it would short circuit, in a shower. It's not waterproof, so to speak. Anyway, so I taped the thermometer in my shower just to give you how goofy I get on wanting to know things. So I taped the thermometer in my shower, and so I got it all set so that this is like the perfect temperature, to take a shower in the morning, and it's pretty toasty hot, but not burning your skin hot. But it's nice and hot. It's not cold. You're not chilled. It's a nice hot shower. Put it that way. And you know what? It's hard to believe what temperature that is, but it's like 96 degrees or 97 degrees. It's not like 110. 110, you'd be burning your skin off. Yeah. Your skin, when you're taking a shower or a bath, even when you're doing it in a hot tub. What's a hot tub? It might be 100 degrees or 101 degrees when you do the thermostat on a hot tub. You're not in there at 140 degrees. Heck, they cook you at 140 degrees. If you get caught in a South Pacific island and they put you in a big pot of water because they're going to have Jimmy soup, yeah, that would be 145 degrees. Yeah, you'd be cooked. Yeah. Yeah, you'd be medium rare. No. You couldn't get up to, your body temperature is 98.6, right? Oh, if you went into a shower that was 98.6, you'd feel like your skin's burning off. No. You got to be, and 80, forget it. 80, 85, you feel like you're freezing to death. So it's very sensitive in that 92 to 94 range would be a nice warm shower. You get up actually to your body temperature, that's too much. Too much for me anyway. It's like a real hot shower. That's kind of a weird things to be talking about here. Let's see. I noticed a screenshot. This is March, right? We're in March. April, May, June. You know what June is? You're not going to guess what June is. What I'm going to guess it is. It is somewhere. It's called the Worldwide Developers Conference. It's one of these Apple events where, now because of, the virus, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, the virus that came out of China, what Trump calls the China virus. And then, people walked around with masks on, which is ridiculous. Remember, I'm a biochemist, which means chemistry and biology. Biochemist. I do just enough to be dangerous about a variety of topics. And I used to tell my friends that trapping a virus in a piece of cloth that's hung over your face and nose is like trying to catch a mosquito with a tennis racket. It'll go right through the tennis racket. A virus goes right through that cloth. It is completely a placebo. You cannot trap a virus with a stupid mask. Now, the N95 mask, that the doctors wear in a sterile surgery environment, those masks fit all the way around your face and, all the crevices of your nose. And it's a complete sealed system, so to speak, and you're breathing, through very dense, fibrous, paper product, I think it is, actually, the masks. That's what an N95 mask is. Well, no one wears, and the people that had N95 masks on, they weren't sealed up all the way around their nose, and their mouth area. Because they're yakking, right? So the mask is, you can't talk very, with an N95 mask on, because you have to keep it sealed all around, because you can't have, if you're dealing with infectious diseases and you're working on a patient, you put on the N95 mask, but walking around the street with an N95 mask and you're yakking, talking to your neighbor, that's a joke too, because you got all these gases that are slipping in underneath your cheekbone and all that stuff. You can't have a very loud conversation with an N95 mask on if it's going to be an effective seal around your face. Now, it's not like a gas mask, but you're really trying to prevent anything that's floating around in the atmosphere from getting into your body, lungs, nose. So that's what an N95 mask does. But if you have just a cloth and you're stretching that, over your face, and it's got a flag printed on it and all this, people walking around with these masks, that have, Eat It Joe's on the mask or teeth, Anyway, being a wise guy. The traditional cloth mask, where you have the strings that go back behind your ears, and it's ridiculous. It gives no benefit whatsoever. I mean, maybe, if you were going to breathe in 100 particles of some, pathogen, maybe it would trap 10% because it would hit, the thread and absorb into the thread rather than passing through and getting into your nose or lungs. Yeah. That's, pretty much the story there. So people that are walking around the streets, but, we're talking about what happened 5 years ago. And so because of that, circling back to Apple, I do these circle around things, You start up here and then you go a little side pocket and you come around. Now circling back to the Apple. I tell you what, if Apple sold underwear, I would own Apple underwear. I am Apple. That's another company. I really tried to work at Apple. I actually had a gentleman that worked at the Apple store. He was someone I went to high school with. Okay. And he remembered who I was, and I remember who he was. And he said, "Jimmy, I'd hire you in a minute. So come on out here to Phoenix, Arizona, and you got yourself, a job at Apple. Matter of fact, you can stay in my place while you're looking for a place to be. Or I have an extra bedroom, you can just stay in there. I'm living by myself, you can just, whatever. But I'll get you in Apple, and then you can go back to Boca Raton, and you're an Apple employee looking for a transfer. That's a whole lot easier, I almost did it. I swear to God, I was close. I was like between things, and I don't know. There's something magical about that Apple company. Everybody, has purple hair and this and that. They hire, some the people that do the hiring around there. I met with an Apple manager, and I met with an Apple general manager, and I was so close to. I just didn't get hired. I don't know. They say 1 out of 34 people get hired at Apple. Now, they were going to hire me in Arizona, in the Phoenix, Arizona area. But I had to go there to get hired. And I had to stay there for, 6, 8, 10 weeks, at least. And then his name was Phil. And then Phil said, then you go anywhere. You can work in Apple anywhere in the world, if you could speak the language. So, you work here for 2 or 3 months, and then you could decide, I want to move back to Boca. So you move back to Boca, and then you know the stores. So you just go back into the back area, where the HR room, all the stores are, have the same architecture. So, the same floor plans, so you just go back into the HR department and, give them your Apple ID number and your driver's license. Say, you'd like to work the Christmas season here in Boca Raton, or maybe even longer, and then you'd start. They give you a start date. They look you up to make sure, you actually were an Apple person, and that you don't have a box ticked off like. We robbed 3 stores in the Tempe Mesa area. As long as you were in good standing, and they'd pay you, they'd adjust your pay based on, your geography and whether it was it cost more for employees in New York City than they do in, Butte, Montana. Anyway, so. But I didn't do it because I didn't feel like being away from my family over here, wife and so forth, for 3 or 4 weeks, or 10 or 12 weeks. She was working in the bank, and I was like between jobs, So I didn't do the Apple thing. I tried to work at IBM, and that didn't work. I tried to get into Apple. That didn't work because I didn't want to be hired in Phoenix. I said, can't you find how about Atlanta? No, I'm in here in Phoenix. I can hire you in here. He was like a manager in the Phoenix store or something. So anyway, circling back to the iPhone. Look at this. Look at that looking iPhone. It folds in half, almost like a thick book. It's got 2 cameras. It's got a LCD screen on the what would be considered the back side. So here's my current iPhone with took a little bite out of the apple here. Actually, it peeled off, so I just cut it. This is like a sticker on the back of my what would normally just be a total black, but Marilyn's got the same phone, same little silicone kind of case. So I just stuck one of these logos on there so I would know if the phones are laying down like this, I'd know my phone from her phone. Anyway, but you see the 3 cameras on my phone. You see, get a little reflective. There you go. So now you can see the 3 lenses. Whoops, there we go. See, now here you only have 2. That little spot there is either a microphone. Oh no, yeah, that'd be a microphone dit. And then you see this white thing. I have one of those. You can see it right there. It's the light. That's the flash light. So it either lights up continuously, like if you needed a little light to walk around in a dark room, or it flashes if you're taking flash photography. Dual purpose little light emitting diodes there. So that's what those, the light, the dark one, that little dit, that's a microphone opening into the case. And you got 2 different, you got a wide angle lens and a super wide angle lens. You don't have a telephoto lens because this lens right here, if I can get that reflection going again, there we go. This lens right, this is the telephoto lens because the periscope, telescopic, is going this way underneath the back of the camera, and then it hits a prism and the light comes that way, and the imager is actually set up this way. There. Sony came up with that design about 25 years ago. Well, patents last for 20 years, and then you no longer have exclusivity to your design. So Apple is actually using the periscope type design that Sony developed, like 30 years ago, and got a patent on it. If they tried to use, that prism technology I'm talking about, they would be violating the Sony patent because they probably have, 8 or 10 or patents with that whole design, with the light going through and hitting a prism and going this way, and have the imager set up, that way. Well, every little component of what I just described is a patent, theory. Patent law is pretty interesting, yeah. Apple has a whole building full of patent attorneys that do nothing all day long but looking at what other people are selling out there and making sure it doesn't violate any of the existing Apple patents. Yeah. Big companies, there are companies, there are lots of companies, big ones, that might file successfully, unique patents, like 1,000 a year. Like three patents a day, 4 patents a day for a 280-day, work week. Yep. So Apple is now has this folding design, special folding hinge. They had the biggest issue with the folding design is they want one continuous sheet of this light emitting, background here. So that when it folds, you don't end up with a seam, because you fold, unfold. They have flapper machines that have been folding, unfolding for years, to just, they've been testing the LCD screens for like 3 or 4 years on these flappers that flap 24 hours a day, just constantly opening and closing, just to make sure that no seam is created in the pixels in the display when you fold it closed. Whoops, look at this. I see a little thing here where my watch, I gotta take my watch off and put it in my charger, on my charger. I have a little charging disc right here. Boing. Magnetic attachment. It's like 20% charged, 80% discharged, and I got a little red. Anyway, so while I'm sitting here yakety dakketing, we might as well charge the watch, right? Gotta hold my little. Can you see where the watch is? It's right here. Oh, you can see. 10:20. It's 20 minutes after 10. It's Monday, March 10th, and it's 10 a.m. 10:20. So you got 3, 10, 10, 20, 20, 25. A lot of 20s, a lot of 10s. Yeah. Gee. Anyway, Apple is zeroing in on, rumor has it, from some very successful rumor people. And what's a rumor person? A rumor person is somebody that doesn't work for Apple, that knows somebody that's in Apple, that knows something about some of the products that they're going to announce or talk about in June. Now this is March, April, May, June. So that's like an advanced peek on what might be coming out with Apple. And, Apple has something on the order of 10 billion, with a B, iPhones out there floating around all over planet Earth. I'm taking my jacket off. I was a little chilly this morning. I had a little jacket on. Oh, gosh. Getting a little too toasty with the jacket on. Then I just peeled it off. So in June, they talk about some products that are going to be coming out. Like iPads, this and that. They don't. It's not the big product release of the the iPhone 17. No, but they start talking about some aspects of what the iPhone 17 might look like. So because they'll have a big formal unveiling of the iPhone 17, like in the September 10th, and then September 17th, you can order the phone, and then a week after that you can get delivery of the phone. So the first third of the month they announce the phone, big global announcement, and it's all electronic because of the virus things. They kind of gotten away from having a live audience, where they have 1,000 of their best friends, in a private bit. So all the technology people from all the networks, they get invited, and they invite those people out. The invitations go out a week before they actually fly out to Cupertino, California, or wherever they're having the big show, so to speak. But since, the COVID-19 thing with that virus, they've kind of got out of the habit of having big events with a lot of people all hobnobbing around exchanging viruses. So it became more of an electronic show than, in-person show, if you will. So I don't know if they're going to have an in-person show. So it's, since it's being announced to the planet, do they really need to have 1,000 people hobnobbing around and it be electronically broadcasted all over the planet? So they just got away from having the show for something as huge as the next iPhone. So supposedly they're going to have the big screen and which is the 6.9 inch diagonal display, like I have in my hand here. And then, so this is the Pro Max, Max meaning 6.9 inch screen. The Pro meaning, the Pro level cameras. The iPhone 16 Pro as opposed to the Pro Max. The only difference between those two phones is the display is 6.3 inch diagonal instead of 6.9 inch diagonal. So you got like a half inch more diagonal in the Pro Max. I like it because, you're doing so much with the internet and photography that I'd rather, the difference in the two phones is like, $150, $200. And, you're using the phone for years, or a year at least. So I'd rather have a little more real estate. Now, the tricky part of this conversation is that they've got two different they have a folding phone and they have a flip phone. Now the flip phone, they're kind of like bending the phone in half at the midpoint seam and then flipping that over so that the cameras then are like, like this. So the bottom part is going to flip underneath, if we had this. So there'd be like this is where the hinge would be, the back end of the hinge. And it folds like that. Now, the folding phone, supposedly, is going to be where the seam comes down, the hinge is like down the long rib here, and the phone opens up, like a book. So that you have maybe this kind of a quadrant up here with the camera bump. And so when you have this folding phone sitting, on your tabletop when you're in a conference, you can see a few little statistics on the back, like here where it says its battery's 81% and you've got the temperature is 27 degrees and it's going up to this and it's going down to that, and participation may rain. Here's a little clock, a little tiny clock you can see, so you're not doing this with your wrist, and all your bosses are seeing that you're bored with the meeting. You got 2 emails you haven't read yet, and here's your, a breakdown of what's going on in your calendar. They may have some of that, but then when you open this up, now you have like an 8.5 inch diagonal because you opened this thing up, and now you got it's almost like a folding iPad and a communicating device. So these Apple iPhones are very sophisticated communication devices and computer. I've read there's more computing power in this iPhone that was in the entire space program when we had the space shuttle. And that includes all the computers that were in the Johnson Space Center. Right here in this handheld. So that's, now that all came together about 30, let's say 35 years ago, engineering-wise. 30 years ago, they had space shuttle. Well, space shuttles, been discontinued. They don't have any more space shuttle flights. They've stopped, servicing those vehicles, and so there's more computing power in this handheld, like Captain Kirk would tap his a little pin that's on his lapel. Beam me up, Scotty. That's his personal communicator. Well, this is in the future days of, Star Trek, the communicator was, no bigger than, this little thing right here. Something like that, just pinned right on your shirt. And that's your personal communicator, which knew your voice and knew that it was you. Someone else couldn't pick it up off the street and use it, because it would be voice printed to your voice. So no one could take your personal communicator and say, beam me up, Scotty, and then some stranger would end up in the bridge of your spaceship, 1,000 miles above this planet, Earth. So, the world of personal communicating devices, see, now we have the iPhone here, and we have the Apple Watch. Now this is married, to your iPhone, but if you're walking around, you're out and about, but you left your phone in one room and you're in a different room with your Apple Watch on, you can answer your phone calls, into your watch. And there's enough cell circuitry and so forth. You can walk outside and make a phone call from your watch. You don't need to have your phone with you. That didn't come out in Apple Watch version 1. That came out after a few years of when they determined that the Apple Watch was a serious thing. I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds. There's probably 1 billion Apple Watches out there by now. This is version 10 of the Apple Watch, so it's been, this is their 10th year anniversary of the Apple Watch, and it's like the 15th year anniversary of the iPhone, right? So iPhone 17 is coming up. So we'll be getting that. The question is, will we get iPhone 18? I'm getting to the point where the stuff is so good. The camera is so good. The only reason I'd go for iPhone 18, I don't even know what iPhone 17 is going to be like. I'm starting to read some rumors. I can do a little search here. You want to play? Let's play. What the heck? Got a few minutes to go here. iPhone rumors. iPhone. Oops, I need a little a space between iPhone and rumors. Did I get it? Yeah. iPhone rumors 2000. Oops, I better 20. Gosh darn it. 25. iPhone rumors 2025. There we go. Let's just touch that one right there. Remember, the iPad is a touchscreen, so you don't need any mousy paddies. Yeah, see, iPhone 17 leaks. Features. iPhone 17 first look. That's 3 weeks ago. Here's 1 day ago. Oh yeah, look at this. The iPhone Fold leaks. 1 day ago. YouTube. Let's touch that one. That looks kind of, particularly since it's 1 day ago. Now this is a video. See, in the first page of the video is the picture I just showed you. So let's launch the video, and you can see. Oh yeah, look at that leaks. Oh boy, pretty nice. Let's go full. Remember, this is a Simulcast, and there's 3 people running this show: me, myself, and I. Let's go full screen. Can we do? Come on, Jimmy, full screen. Oh, yeah. I'm not hitting the right button for full. There you go. I guess that's as full screen as it gets, huh? I can go. Yeah, let's go full screen. There we go. Now we're full. You got so many little buttons here. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. See, there's the flip. It opens up, and they really were zeroing in on the seam because they've been flipping that for 3 years on various screen manufacturers. Were so now this is the fold where it opens up like a book. This is the next rumor thing, and this guy over in the corner is talking. And let's see if I can silence. Let's see, can we hear? Well, if I pull that plug, then we can't see him. No, that's not playing. All right. I mean, I could capture that video and play it, but not today. So I'll plug back in epidemic. There we go. So this is a short video, and he's showing with the leaks. So you got the fold and the flip, and supposedly the fold and the flip, in addition to the 2 standard size models of the iPhone, all 4 of those are coming out in September. That's pretty interesting. So here's an interesting little look at this. I've been really reading about the robots, if you will, the Apple Optimus robots. I actually had a little conversation with Marilyn. I said, you know what, Marilyn? I don't want some little lady from Tijuana taking care of Jimmy when he's 82 years old, assuming I'm capable of living till 82 years old. So let's just assume that I can live past 80, 81, 82, 83. My cardiologist says you should be good until you're about 94. And then things are going to start falling apart on you. That's what he told me a couple years ago. As a surviving bypass surgery patient, he said, your ticker is working really nicely. He listens, and he dances around. He said, Dr. Ordonez saved my fanny. He even went into conflict with some senior cardiac surgeons at the regional hospital here, and said, if you do what the chief of cardiology says in the Boca Hospital, there's a really good chance you won't survive that operation. I said, oh, well, we don't want to do that. What's the alternative? Do we have a plan B? He said, yeah, I sure do. He said, I put all your charts and things. He did, all kinds of video cameras inside around the heart, all the arteries and where the blockages were and where the bypasses would be. I looked at the graphics there and the imagery, and I couldn't actually visualize what he was talking about. And I'm a visual guy. I've taken a lot of pictures, but I don't understand the photography from the inside of an artery. Because they do this angioplasty thing where they stick this appliance, skinny thing that comes up around through your chest and then loops around over the top of your heart, and it takes internal and external pictures of what's going on there. And I just couldn't quite understand. Now, he was pointing and he's moving here. I'm listening to him, but I couldn't visualize what he was talking about. But I understood what he was talking about. He said, yeah, I'm going to go up and meet. There's a doctor up there, a surgeon. His name is Dr. Brian Bethay. He said, I talked to him about this. And I have all my... He walked in my intensive care room because I had a minor, heart attack, if you will. I caught it very early. I was sitting on a couch and I felt a little something weird going on. My pulse went way up and my blood pressure was even higher. And I knew so I tested everything and I said, time to go. So Marilyn's outside on the patio. So I tapped on the glass door, opened the door. I said, Marilyn, we're going to the hospital. Close your conversation and, bring a little bag with you with something to sip on because I think I'm having an issue with my ticker. So bring your phone, bring your charger, bring your iPad if necessary, because I think we're going to be in the hospital for a few days. So she did. She packed up her stuff and bam. I said, forget an ambulance. It's going to be 20 minutes, a half hour before, no. You can drive me right into through emergency. We know it's 1 mile away. You drive, and I'll sit over here and just just keep on rolling. Don't speed. You see a red light and there are no cars going either way, just go through the red light. You can deal with the policeman when you get to the emergency door. Time is of the essence here. We need to get in there and get, some nitroglycerin going and dilate all your arteries to drop your blood pressure, because you don't want to end up with a stroke. Your pressure goes up too high, arteries start bursting in your brain, and that's the definition of a stroke. So we don't want to stress out your artery system. So that's what they did. They gave me a nitroglycerin drip with some other chemistry called heparin, which is like an anticoagulant. So they dilate all your capillaries, which tends to drop all your blood pressure. And then they give you a heparin drip in the same, IV. And that throws a little anticoagulant into your circulatory system so you don't end up with any blood clots that could have gotten thrown off because of the heart attack itself. And it was a very, very they checked, there's a certain enzyme that's present in your circulatory system when you have a heart attack. Because when you have a heart attack, the heart muscle cramps. And the very bottom tip, there's a little, this is not the right vocabulary word, but there's a little burn mark, a little dead spot on the very bottom of the heart. So apparently when I had this little heart attack, which I caught very early, the doctor says that was a very good thing you did coming right in here. Good for you to understanding that that's what was happening, because it might have saved your fanny. Instead of thinking you have a cold and you go to sleep all night and you're having a heart attack for 14 hours and then you wake up dead. No, you caught it right away. Well, I'm sitting on the couch and, my pulse was at 150. So I knew something was amiss, because your pulse shouldn't be 150 when you're quietly watching the news. That was signal number 1. And since the pulse rate was very high, I figured, you know what, I better get out my trusty dusty, this little guy, which is my blood pressure thing, cuff, all self-contained, you know, and you're hearing the Velcro of it. But there's no separate hose thing. It's all built into the one thing. Sooner or later, they'll have a blood pressure capacity in the watch. Maybe next year. Anyway, we're watching a little video of Optimus Robot. It's, let's see, can we do... oh, yeah, let's do closed captioning. There we go. Yeah, so now you can see, we can at least read what's going on. Elon is talking. The nice thing about the closed captioning when you're looking at it on the YouTube is the closed captioning, all the text is below the image instead of it being written right on the image, which is annoying when you have closed captioning on a TV. Yep, the version 2, Optimus version 3, yeah, you can see the hands moving. Yeah, this is, I want one of those. Yeah. You know, I'm going to train the robot. I've named it. Can you believe it? I've named something I don't even have. It's a humanoid robot called Optimus, as far as, you know, like a code name for what they're working on in the Tesla factories. They're actually handmade. The parts are all machined, you know, at Tesla. There's like nothing off the shelf. Everything is uniquely handmade or hand manufactured, if you will. So the first 1,000 robots really were all handmade, hand ground. You know, they got a whole bunch of people doing, you know, this guy works on the screws, this guy works on the bolts, this guy works on the motors in the knee, this guy works on the, you know, the index finger, the pinky finger. You know, you got people working on all the pieces, and then they put it together. So the first 1,000 robots are being distributed, you know, within the 4 Tesla factories that are around the globe, 2 in the United States, 1 in Germany and 1 in China. Yeah. Plant being built in Mexico. So you see what's going on here. So when a vehicle comes off the assembly line in a Tesla factory, since they have the self-driving software, the car drives itself out of the factory, and a vehicle comes out of the back door of the factory every 40 seconds. Can you believe it? A car comes out of the factory every 40 seconds, 24 hours a day. And it drives itself to a certain parking lot number, parking space number in a particular parking lot. You know, it says go to lot 39 and go to spot 260 in lot 39. And it drives itself to the proper lot and the proper space number, and then the car turns itself off, and it sits there waiting for the next prompt. And the next prompt would be pull out of the parking spot and come out to transportation port B. And there would be a multi-car tractor trailer situation where they put 6 or 7 of these Tesla cars onto what's called a car carrier. And then those are all the cars that are going to be delivered into the Boca del Rey marketplace, because there were 5 other people that were taking deliveries on Teslas, you know, in March of 2024. Yep, that's when we picked up this one, March 18, 2024. And my car drove itself to the proper parking place out of the factory from Austin, Texas, awaiting further instructions. And then the further instructions are the car carrier was ready in transportation B, as in boy, and it wakes up all the cars, all other 5 cars, mine being the 6th one, because they're all being delivered to the Boca del Rey office of Tesla over here in southern Palm Beach County. Yep. So that's, no one has to drive the car over to, it drives itself. Now the driver of the car carrier, he actually puts, he drives the car up, the Tesla up into the car carrier, because that's like a 2-story, that's, there's no automation for that other than the driver taking control of the Tesla and putting it on the car carrier. But I mean, I was like amazed. I'm watching these videos of the Tesla factory, and I figured they would be like 10, 20-year-olds lined up. So as the car comes out of the factory, the rear door of the factory, a kid gets in the car and then drives it off into the parking lot, because they have these huge parking lots to store these vehicles before they get sorted out into the car carriers, So, no, they don't have 10 kids. They have nobody. The car drives itself to the proper spot in the parking lot and parks it. I mean, these Tesla factories are, if you're kind of watching what's going on here with the handmade robots on screen while I'm yakking away here. I mean, this is all hand manufactured. So they're getting everything, all the circuit boards. You see what's going on here on screen. The guy's got a motor in one hand and tweezers in the other. These are all handmade motors and pieces that are part of that robot. So once they get everything machined up the way they like it, then they come out with the robotics, so that the robotics step by step makes and assembles all the components for the Optimus bot, as they say here in the language. You don't say robot, it's the Tesla bot, it's the Optimus bot. Yeah. So, and 3 years ago they're talking about the Tesla bots, the Optimus. I've named it, as I told you. The first name I gave it was Charles. We're going to call it Charles because it's going to be like a butler serving some tea afternoon. James, would you like some afternoon tea? We'd give it a little bit of a British accent, because you can have any kind of accent you want with the language model that comes out of the Optimus bot. And then Marilyn said, "No, you're not going to name it Charles, please." I said, "Okay, let's." So we're watching this movie with and one of the key characters named Billy Bob Thornton. He's like an oil man. Yeah, I think the name of the show is Landman, Landman, Landman. And one of the oil executives is Billy Bob Thornton. Intensive role he had, smoked like a stove, And so I looked over at Marilyn and I said, "How about Billy Bob?" We'll name our first Tesla bot Billy Bob. Would you go would you go get the mail? Go downstairs to the lobby and get my mail. Here's the mail key. So, right now, since we're probably 18 months to 2 years away from Billy Bob being born into this, you can rent Billy Bob for about $250 a month. It cost them, $10,000 or $11,000 to make Optimus Bot, and they can lease it out or rent. Maybe they end up with a 2-year lease or a rent. About $200 to $300 a month, somewhere in that range. So you can try it out without having to throw out some big money, and you get your hands on a bot for a couple of years or whatever. So right now we're thinking his name is going to be Billy Bob. And I look forward to the moment where at midnight one night, I'm going to say, Billy Bob, follow me. We're going to go get the mail. I want you to pay attention on how we do it, because you're going to get my keys, and you're going to put your keys around your neck, just like I have my little key thing here. You snap your keys right on that little clipper, and then we're going to go walk down the hallway about 44 steps. We're going to make a right turn, get in that elevator lobby vestibule area, push the down button for the elevators. There's 2 elevators. You come up on either side of these buttons, and then when the door opens, we're going to walk in the elevator, and then we're going to turn counterclockwise and look for the elevator panel and push L. You don't need to use the fob thing when you go down to the lobby. Any other floor level, up or down, you got to use your unlock the keypad with your fob. But we only need that when we go up, or if you go down to someplace other than lobby. So we're going to lobby. You don't need a fob to get to lobby. So you just turn counterclockwise, face that panel, push L, doors will close, we'll go down to the lobby. We're going to do this about midnight, 1 a.m. maybe, because I don't want any of the other people that occupy the building seeing you and me walk down the hallway together. This is going to be, because number one, we're going to dress you. We're going to get you some shoes, some pants, a shirt, maybe a vest, and so I don't want them seeing your butt hanging out with the robot. The Tesla bot is going to have clothing, maybe sweatpants or something. I don't know, something nice, neat, something new and modern looking. Not preppy, new and modern looking. I've seen some pictures of Tesla Bot dressed up in, you wouldn't call it skin tight clothing because there's no skin. It's, it's like bot material, plastics and polished stainless steel and a couple of wires hanging out here and there. No discernible eyebrows, so you don't have to worry about sunglasses. Although I might attach some sunglasses on you and give the appearance that maybe you do have eyes behind there. Yeah, we'll give him some sunglasses. No hat, just sunglasses. Shirt, no tie. If there is a tie, it'll be a bow tie. Dressing him up like a concierge. Anyway, so we're going to walk him down to the lobby, show him where that room is, a little bit, a little bit of a right, a little bit of a left turn, then you end up in the mail room, which has no door. Just walk right in that area. You take this key, and the rumple side up, and push it in the brass slot that's associated with the Suite 812, which is where we live. You open up this little trap door, you pull all the mail out, and hold that in one hand, and you close up the trap door, pull the key out, and then we're going to go back up the elevator using the fob, because you have to unlock floor number 8 with the fob. And that's what you do, and that's what you'll do. I'll do it first, and then you'll do it the next time, and I'll walk with you. And then the third time, you'll do it by yourself. How about that? And Billy Bob will say, "Yes, sir, Mr. Jim, that's how we'll do it." Yeah, that's what we're going to do. And then wouldn't that be cool? Is that I'll be walking around in the lobby area, and the bot, I said, Billy Bob, come on down about 11:30 in the morning to get the mail. Because the mail guy shows up at about 11. He's done by 11:45. So come down at 11:45, so that way you won't be tripping over the U.S. postal person. Come down at 11:45. So I'll be down there talking to the security guard when Billy Bob comes down by himself to get my mail. Oh my God, you talk about shaking up the building. Yes, sir. There's 200 families in there, and you're going to say, what the hell is Jimmy Bob doing there with Billy Bob? Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah. Elon says he's going to be mass producing Optimus robots at the level of at least 500,000 bots per year in 2 years. Yep. He says he's going to produce 5,000 robots this year. He's going to do 50,000 bots in 2026 and 500,000 bots in 2027. So in 2 years, I'm going to have my name on the reservation list for one of the first 500,000 bots that are being scaled up manufacturing from the Tesla factories. And he said from there, it's going to go from 500,000 to 5 million, and then from 5 million to 50 million. So in 5 years, I'm planning on having 50 million of these bots being sold all over the planet. And everybody in the industrialized planet is going to want to have a bot all of their own. Yeah, or, one per family, one per person. It's the elderly can have a bot to help them out with their elderly things that they need help with. Like getting a can of mushrooms from the top shelf. You may end up helping you cook some tomato sauce, whatever. Yeah. Phew. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah, that's the story of the bot. The Optimus bot. So you can see the different displays here. Here's another. We're full screen here. We can touch this one. And are we closed captioned here? Let's close caption. So if you don't want to hear me, you can read the words. Yeah. Electric vehicle, yeah. They don't have a lot of new. They kind of like all the people that are writing stories about the Optimus are on a pretty short leash because there's not a lot of unique information about the Tesla bot. I'm sorry, the Optimus bot. Now, it's an interesting little exchange of words there, because Tesla is a robotics company, because all their cars are assembled using, institutional factory bots. Look at those arms in there reaching. It's all programmed artificial intelligence where those welds happen. 95% of the assembly of the typical Tesla car comes off, a factory that's 95% automated. Yeah, 95%. That means only 4 or 5% of the cars is assembled, wiped, manufactured by, a human person, as opposed to industrial robots, as opposed to humanoid robots, which is what Optimus is all about. So, yeah, that's going to be there. See, there's a, yeah. So now these robots, this robotics, this is all these things coming and going and things zooming in and out and all that stuff. Now that's industrial robotics, as opposed to a humanoid robot. Yeah, see all these arms, they're sticking and yeah, that is industrialized robotics. GM factories are maybe 50% robotics. Tesla is 95% robotics. They tightened it up to like 98% robotics, and they backed off a couple of percent because it didn't make any sense having industrialized robotics for some of these steps, because they were too simple, to assemble. So they figured, just have people do it. Well, now just the people do it. They're thinking maybe they'll put a Optimus bot in there doing it, because people can't do that all day long. It's too boring. So jobs that are either too boring or too dangerous, too much smell, because you're in an area of the factory that there's a lot of industrial gases and so forth. So that could be a place where you put an Optimus bot. If it's just taking a piece of metal and going from here and going to there, you pick up a piece here and then you turn and go there, and you're doing that back and forth all day long. Sooner or later, you go nuts doing that because it's too boring. So jobs that are too tedious, that could be an Optimus bot assignment in a factory. So some of these humanoid Optimus, there's an Optimus with a hat and a vest and suspenders and yeah, serving cocktails at a party. Here's an Optimus bot catching a tennis ball. There's how he charges up. He just backs into this little stick that's coming off a wall that's about 4 feet off the ground. Yep. So, we're going to be entering into, in our industrialized world here, some humanoid robotics that's going to be floating around in the marketplace. Might be serving your coffee in the morning. Might be making your toasted bagel. Who knows? Can you imagine? Now, the Tesla car is a self-driving car. Can you imagine an Optimus robot getting in your self-driving car? So you got a robot driving the robotics car. That'd be rich. But that's some of the way things are going to be happening around here. Only a couple of years from now, and everyone's going to want one. So if you got just the American marketplace, if you got 200 million families, everyone's going to want one of these. That's 200 million bots just in the United States. So let's say it's 100 million, half the households are going to want one. So that's still 100 million. That's a lot of bots. And that's a big scaling up, So that's what we're going to see in the 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030. You're going to see the scaling up of the Optimus bot into our society. So into factories, into serving up your vegetables in the grocery store instead of some guy carrying the vegetables from the truck. You got all these, Publix is going to have 15 or 20 of these Optimus bots in each store, whether it's mopping up messes or cleaning up boxes or unloading cartons onto the shelf, for people that want to pick stuff off the shelves. We're actually getting very comfortable using Instacart to order our groceries. Yeah, Instacart. So, we only have one car, so I'm not going to take an Uber to go shop around in Publix. You can order all this stuff online, and then they deliver the Publix bags right to your door, and everything's paid, through the system of credit and debit cards you already have on file and all that stuff. So it's a very convenient way of shopping. You don't have to mix around with all people that have coughs and colds, So for disease control, it's pretty safe. Comfortable way of shopping. Yeah. Oh, gosh. All right, so what do we got going here? We're hanging in here around 2 hours and 43 minutes. It's 11:11 on March 10. How about that for a bunch of alliterations? It's 11:11 on March 10th. Yeah. And we're going to get off full screen mode here. We're going to share the screen, I think. Can I do it now? There we go. I'm over here. When you get full screen over here, I can't quite, elbow my way into the screen. See, there's Optimus just almost slipped and fell. He caught himself because of the robotics, the brain that's in that. The brain is actually the same computer that's in the Tesla car. So they've already created the brain. It's a super computer, laptop, so to speak, without a big display. It's the same exact computer that's in the Tesla Model Y. Yep. And instead of two front wheels and two rear wheels and two front wheels, you got 2 arms and 2 legs. Here's Optimus coming down a hill. Here's Optimus there. They're doing a little dance. Here's Optimus serving some iced tea. They're doing a little. He's wiping up some mess. He's serving cocktails in the evening. He's getting the grocery bag out of the car. Yeah, this Optimus is going to be a handy little electronic thing to have. Battery operated. You can float around your place for about 8 hours a day before it needs to plug in. Maybe 10 hours a day if it's not working too hard. We're not in a house thing. We're not going to be digging ditches anymore. So we're putting up fence or climbing on the roof. It's pretty simple kind of stuff around here to help keep this apartment, tip-top shape. Have a little company and sit there with Billy Bob while we watch a movie. Hey, Billy Bob, how about making me some popcorn? Oh, yeah, we'll show him how to make some popcorn. There it is. There's the popcorn. There's the oil. You do a couple of squirts in there. You got a little dustpan in there where you clean up. All right, well, I know I have some pasta, and I know I have some chicken gravy, and I have a half a big can of the family-sized can of mushroom soup. So what I do is I take, about a quarter cup of the concentrated mushroom soup, put that in the bottom of a bowl, and then I use about a quarter cup of this chicken gravy, Heinz chicken gravy, yep, out of a jar, and put that in the bottom of the bowl, and then use a whisk and whip it all up together. Throw that in the microwave for 90 seconds. Take a bowl of pasta, throw that in the microwave for 90 seconds. Then combine the two and toss them around, and I got myself some fettuccine with some nice mushroom sauce. It's marvelous. Ooh, my taste buds are going crazy just thinking about it. It's 11:15. I haven't had breakfast. I had an oatmeal cookie early on at 7:30. I think it's time for an early lunch. What do you think? Clean up the sink first because I got a couple of things left over from last night. Yeah, we'll clean that up, and I'll get stuff ready for a little lunch and have lunch at 12 sharp up here in Cafe 812. Yep. And I need to send my doctor a fax to let him know that we need different forms filled out for United Airlines because we have the wrong specifications in there on how many liters per minute my portable oxygenator will have on board of the aircraft. I know, complicated world we live in. So matter of fact, I may do that. Well, I'll wait till lunchtime. They'll get the facts over lunch, and then they'll read them after lunch, and they'll sign the forms, and maybe tomorrow we'll pick them up in the doctor's office. That's my last thing. I gotta have these forms. One flying up and one flying back. I got them. I got both of them. I have them printed, but they're blank. Let's see. I'll see if I can I'll photograph. I think I will do that. All right, well, I'll think about that. Anyway, so you guys have a nice day. It's 11:17 a.m. and we're going to check out. I'm going to give you about 30 or 45 seconds of epidemic sound instrumental, which is the way we normally leave our little shows here. So you can watch some. Shrink that down. Get here on March 10. Full screen on that. Yeah, we get rid of. We go full screen on there. And then I'm going to click out of here. And so you all have a great day, and we'll hit you around the same time tomorrow. Have a great day. Enjoy your lunch.